I'm particularly pleased with how much more I understand about not just Pinterest, but about business more.
Yeah. Hi, Megan. Thank you so much for joining me. I want to just point out that it's probably going to be very confusing to people that it's Megan and Megan, but we are powerful. We are each other's egos or like alter egos here. I would love for you to share, to introduce yourself and share a little bit about your business and what you do in the online space.
Well, I'm Megan O'Neill. I am presently living in Ottawa, but like Megan, I am a Torontonian, born and bred. But I have been a long-time mindset mentor, and specifically my official title is a core belief engineering practitioner, which basically in a nutshell is, it means that my focus is core beliefs. That's my specialty and my expertise. And I look at how your core beliefs create your mindset. I used to be what I called a generalist for many years. And when I came to Ottawa, I spent a lot of time in I came specifically to work at a relationship center with individuals and couples. And then while my mom was sick, I was with my mom at home when she was sick, and I spent a lot of time in the entrepreneurial world. And my dad had been an entrepreneur for like my entire life, up and down. I had this kind of crazy childhood with like a serial entrepreneurial dad. I feel like I got into entrepreneurial mindset at one point, I think to solve some of my own issues with my dad.
Right.
During the COVID season, I decided that I was going to jump in because I think like many people I was struggling, decided that I was going to dive into my astrological studies. And one of my good friends was teaching business astrology.
Very cool.
And I dove into that. I figured that really where I belonged was in the relationship area of astrology. So that is my focus nowadays.
In terms of your own business and the experience that you've had, how did you stumble into thinking about or being intrigued by using Pinterest for your business?
So my astrology mentor, I think I'd seen her stuff on Pinterest. I think like most women, I was on Pinterest for like recipes and all that sort of thing. Yeah. But I didn't understand it as a marketing tool. And then I was talking to my astrology mentor who is very successful. And she said to me, I was looking at her analytics. I was helping her out, doing some work for her actually. And I was looking at her analytics, and Pinterest was her number one most successful marketing for a platform. So I was intrigued by that. And I said to her, where do I learn this? Like, I don't understand. What do I do? So she pointed me to one of the biggest that I guess, everybody knows, one of the Pinterest people. I took that course, and of course, for me, it didn't work.
But that's kind of when you realized, like, you wanted to learn more about Pinterest.
Yeah.
You knew you wanted to learn more. You saw an opportunity. Part of who you are is, like, you're interested in digging deeper or doing research. Yeah. So you knew that you needed help with Pinterest.
There was many things about Pinterest that appealed to me, but I actually liked the static sort of part of Pinterest.
So then what did Pinterest marketing for yourself or for folks that you were supporting, what did it look like before Pin Potential?
Heart-centered people often don't want to, we want to do our heart-centered stuff. We want to do kind of like right brain, touchy-feely, like even creative stuff, right? Like pretty work. We'll like, I'll do the pretty work. But analytics, anything that sort of feels a little bit more left brain, if you want to put it, analytical, you have to sit down and really focus.
Yeah.
I don't think often that's our strength, people like me. And I think that when it comes to a strategy, I've been in this for a while and in the entrepreneurial world. And I think we've been thrown a lot of marketing how-tos that feel overwhelming or feel confusing and you don't really get it.
Would you say you had that same problem when you were thinking about Pinterest, right? Like you didn't really get it. It was kind of confusing. You knew that you wanted to learn more, but you just weren't sure about sort of like, and again, like honoring both sides, like what, right brain, left brain, but you felt like you needed more.
How I initially came upon you, well, this is kind of funny because we're both Canadians and to a certain degree, there's a small world. It's a bit of, 6 degrees of separation. I was frustrated, I think like many women like me in the online world. And I came upon you because I jumped onto Threads right away.
Right.
And so I was a Twitter, like just a casual, like for my personal reasons. And then I went on to Threads. I found you and I liked the way that you broke things down so that they were digestible.
I remember when you started commenting on my posts. You also offered very, like, when you commented, you would always say sort of thoughtful, more in-depth, personal stuff. And I was like, oh, I notice it, right?
I think threads can be that. I can think it can be both, sharing your knowledge and also
Yeah.
interacting personally. So I was on
100%.
from the get-go.
Yeah.
I liked what you had posted on Pinterest, and I was like, okay, if this is me, but I
Yeah.
feel like I wanted to focus in on just one platform. I didn't want to have too much of a scattered approach.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to learn this one, I'm going to get into it. And so I was like, well, then I'm going to jump into this. And I guess it's also how you presented it. I like the idea.
Yeah.
I like the idea of Pinterest being a search engine. I guess that was like, if
Yeah.
you had to say what was the one thing that really appealed.
Did you have any hesitations about joining the course, especially since you took another course and it didn't give you what you needed to feel like you knew what you were doing, to feel less overwhelmed, or like you had a roadmap to actually create a successful Pinterest strategy? Like, were there any, things that you went through your head, like hesitations about, like, should I buy her course? I like her perspective.
No, I'm actually for someone who's been in the online space, I think one of the things that I have learned is you have to be really judicious in terms of buying courses and being aware that marketing is hitting those pain points.
Yeah.
It's like you feel like, oh my gosh, if I take this, then I'll learn this, or if I take that and I'll learn that. So I have become really disciplined about buying courses, but I had enough exposure to how you approached it. Actually, interestingly enough for me, threads, I think I jumped on a bit for the challenge. But I think watching what you presented on threads, and maybe that's because that's what I pay attention to.
Yeah, like that's where you're actively spending time, and it helped you
Right.
decide to take that leap. Like you
Right.
could see the way I spoke, what I talked about, how I framed things. Interesting, because that's public. Like the training, live training where you're on video and you're speaking and you're answering questions, people really see your style. And so you kind of were able to experience it through my written format, which is interesting.
Yeah, and so I was just waiting for I was on the list, and then when you opened up the course,
Yeah.
so I think I found you quite a bit actually before the
Yeah,
Pinterest.
so you had to wait until the next time I
Yeah.
opened. Yeah, typically I open it 3 times a year. It's fine because people will ask me to open it more often. The problem is that, well, and people who are in Pin Potential know this, is that really once I shut the doors, like all of my energy, in terms of like the coaching and my involvement, I think people are quite surprised that yes, I do have some people who help me, but all the calls are facilitated by me, that it's me answering questions. It's not just that I'm trying to create fake urgency. It's really that I do need to shut the doors because so much of my energy goes to the people who said yes and decided to join us. What would you say to someone who might be unsure about signing up?
So I think long time entrepreneurs in a quest for the right marketing forum, right? Like,
Yeah.
we have been hurt. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
We've
Oh,
been
we
hurt.
all have. Even I have.
Yeah.
I've been hoodwinked.
I have a lot of marketing friends. I have a lot of writing friends. I have a lot
Yeah.
of creatives in my life. And I have actually said to them, and like you could go around and talk to my friends, and I've said, you should really look at this.
Yeah.
You should really, and I'm recommending it, and these are people who are quite sophisticated, actually.
Yeah,
in terms
like
of marketing.
advanced.
Long time maybe entrepreneurs. The reason why I'm telling them that is exactly that. I understand that there's many entrepreneurs, and I sound like I'm being critical, so please be patient with me, who we know are making money from their courses, but maybe are not involved in their courses.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I need more hand holding. Part of why I love Pin Potential, and I spend a lot of time looking at it, is you can, first of all, if you enter into it and you're worried about, when I started, I was doing another job. So I was doing it on the weekend, I was doing it after work. Sometimes I was doing it at work, as they wouldn't have liked to know.
We won't tell your old boss.
Yeah, we won't tell. But one of the things that I really like is I like how methodical it is, and I need that. So
Yeah.
I need to have that kind of, this is step number 1, and
Yeah.
then you dive into it and you really understand, so that you do have a framework. Yes, but you understand why you're doing what you do. You know, you can jump on the call. Like you can jump on the call when you're doing the review of copy, et cetera, or jump into the Facebook group. And you're really highly responsive, which is so unusual. I was almost worried about you. I was like, oh my God, is she gonna have energy? Seriously.
No, I love it though. I do love it. What's funny though is like I feel like Meta is often working against me in that Facebook group because I don't get notifications. Actually, that is for people who are interested. Like we do host our community on Facebook. Now it's not exclusively on Facebook, but we just find that it allows the most people to be engaged in the group. And Facebook won't tell me when somebody has commented. So I have a team member whose job is to go through the group and make sure I haven't missed anything and tag me, because it's not me necessarily. It's just that Facebook doesn't even tell me. Would you say, so let's take a step back. What would you say is your favorite part or like a highlight of the course or the program for you personally?
I mean, there's so many things, but I'm particularly pleased with how much more I understand about not just Pinterest, but about business more.
Yeah.
So, and
awesome.
like I've had business coaches, you know, I've been in things, but actually this is not only solidifying some of the knowledge that I have, so it reinforces what I've already learned, but it's also giving me a new approach with my business. So there's the bigger picture. So you're helping me with my bigger picture so that I can go back to my marketing and make it so that it's more concentrated or more focused. My funnel, just even even on a technological level, which is not something I'm always learning, but once again, kind of going back to these people who are the heart-centered or mindset people or woo-woo people like myself. Often when you're creating your online business, unless you kind of come upon the right program or you have the right business coach, you're often missing elements in your business that are really important.
Well, we look for these like different subject matter experts or like very specific things. So they might be really good at that, but they don't have the other, like sort of the background technology to support that. Or they'll tell you need a lead magnet, but they can't help you with the messaging or the positioning.
As I said, I have some pretty sophisticated marketing people in my life. And I think that what I have discovered about Pinterest that once again I've taken away from Pin Potential, and I did myself, is that there's this idea that you just kind of throw things out and it's going to work.
Yeah.
And I think we all know from anybody who's been online and done marketing courses, et cetera, we know we have to kind of spend some time on it. But I think a lot of people don't understand with Pinterest, they don't understand what's involved to be able to get to the goal that you want to get to.
Yeah.
So this is what Pin Potential does.
Yeah, fills that gap. Would love to hear about what do you think is different or a refreshing sort of change that Pin Potential offered you that you didn't feel in that program or experience in that course?
Well, this is much, much more intensive in the sense that there's so much more knowledge at my fingertips. Like you provide so much more knowledge first. And then it's so much more personal. Like it's like night and day. So for someone like me who needs maybe a little bit, as you know, I need a little bit more hand holding.
But that's not just you, right? Like we all have questions. That's why we buy programs, right? In hopes that if we have I joined a Meta Ads program literally so I could ask the facilitator specific questions. I know a lot, but when you reach like a problem or you want to have feedback, right? You want to be like, hey, what do you think about this?
And I think that, with the other one, you really did feel like you were part of this mass.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of programs like that where people go in and there's a lot of hype around it, or the person is an influencer or something along those lines.
Yeah, like a very big name or big
name.
Online presence.
And you think that you're going to learn the magic formula.
Yeah.
And for someone like me, I need to dive into it. I need to spend the amount of time that I need to spend. So, I mean, each of your videos is really informative and builds upon the other. And I need that type of learning in order for me to get the big picture.
Like in terms of teaching style. So it sounds like, because you said it twice now. So it's sort of like you learn the theory. It's like the why is the theory, then the what, and then you go out and do, like, my goal is that I teach you, we're not just doing things to do things, right? I'm going to teach you why this is the concept, this is why you need to know it. If you want to learn more in depth, you can, or you just at even a surface level, learn it. This is the what. So why do we do these specific things on Pinterest or in general? Yeah. And then you go out and do it and apply. And then this knowledge builds on itself.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think that's like all learning, right? Is that we we learn one thing before we can learn something else.
Yeah. So I mean, Megan, do you remember like when you're learning and you're like, you don't understand? I remember like sitting in class throughout my life. Yeah. Even in university, and you don't understand why you're learning a concept. So therefore you're not
so many times. Yeah.
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 Right?
Absolutely.
But I have said that to my girlfriends, my entrepreneurial girlfriends, you are the most methodical teacher. So you give way more, and I've done courses, you give way more than I've ever had in any of my courses.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. If someone was interested in Pin Potential, is that what you would be like, this is the biggest difference. This is the one thing, like as a future or potential student, like what would be your biggest spotlight in terms of the course?
That I think you're going to learn something deeply, so you're going to understand, and and I think you're going to want to make a commitment. I think you make us want to make a commitment to Pinterest instead of like running off and flying off and doing all these other things. And I like to be centrally focused, which is unusual for me, by the way. And then you're going to focus and you're going to build something that's going to be sustainable, because ultimately, and I think anybody who's watching me can relate to this, we don't want to spend all of our bloody time on marketing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's enough already.
Of course. It's a lot. Yeah. Well, you would be a full-time marketer if you wanted that. What do you think, like, if we were to switch gears to talking a little bit about reaching goals or specific results potentially, like what sort of results do you think, if you were to step back, and it's only been a short period of time since you've taken the course, and we know that Pinterest is a long game, but what sort of things do you like, sort of like growth or advancements, or like things where you look back and you're like, before the course, after the course, what sort of things do you think?
Specifically for me, and my growth actually has been my lead generator, which was my goal, because I want to get people on my list, because ultimately, even though my list is not huge, ultimately my biggest conversion has been my list. Right? Awesome. So my ultimate goal is my list. But, when I was on, for example, like Facebook or Instagram, like I could get my friends and my friends responding to me. Yeah. But I wanted to go beyond the reach of my friends, and it wasn't happening. Yeah.
Or like new audiences, new people who are interested in what you teach and share. Now that you've sort of like been through the course, you're working on different aspects of your marketing, as we discussed. Do you think that it feels more achievable or easier to grow your audience, or to work, not just on Pinterest, but sort of this idea that like, it's sort of like you have a bit of clarity?
And I'm really fine tuning what I need to, my ideal client, right, is even, I'm focusing in more so and understanding my ideal client. Because I'm implementing that all the time in my Pinterest strategy, right? So I'm more focused on who do I want to attract. But even in terms of like your funnel, because I was losing people. Yeah. So I'm still working on it, but I have got from my going on and going to the classes religiously, I have been able to ask you for help also. In where I might be falling through the cracks in my marketing, why am I missing? Why am I not getting to where I want to? So I'm going beyond marketing to actually look at my business holistically.
Yeah, I love that. Well, that's honestly one of the goals, right? Is because I can help you be more successful. And then, my goal is we start with Pinterest, but we ultimately also want to work on those other aspects of your business, because that's going to help you grow and you're going to feel more confident. After this, I want you to go out and feel like, even if you were to start a new business, or you were to evolve your business in a different way, or the online world changes, that you have what you need, the core ingredients to evolve a a Pinterest strategy because good strategy is good strategy. Would you say, like, do you feel more confident in understanding how Pinterest works? Or, you know, like you've mentioned a few different things like your funnel and kind of like stepping back and seeing things.
Or I want to mention one thing as well that just came to me, which is an obvious one. So I'm going to be going, I'm going to be going to a review clinic after this. So we're going to go to the review clinic. I'm going to present something. But I was always open to AI because I happen to have a really good friend who is an AI teacher. So she got me on it like way early. And I think that I would have been resistant to that, to be honest.
Right.
I think
but someone you trusted was in that world, so you felt better about it.
Exactly. So I was open to that, but I can imagine if you were a person who didn't have the benefit of having a good friend who's an AI person, like I do, that you would be like, yeah, I know, I mean, I kind of know about AI, but I don't really. So one of the benefits of coming here, because I am all about time too, and I would like to not have to spend my life writing. I'm an okay writer, but I'm not excellent, but I'd like to spend my time on things that I enjoy.
Sure.
Like in my work. I think that's really common amongst the heart-centered people.
Yeah.
Is that we just want to actually just do our work, right?
Yeah.
Like where our expertise lies.
The most rewarding parts of it.
Yeah. So anybody who might be watching this is wondering why I'm talking about AI. But one of the great things, and I was using it last night for this review clinic coming up, you've got AI bots that are trained specifically to follow. So if I have my blog, like I wrote the other day, then I can make my time efficient by using the bot to help me to really focus in on what is my message.
Love that.
For my pin.
Yeah, like
right?
How do you translate your blog post to Pinterest to attract the right people, which helps you grow your audience? And so do you find yourself regularly using those? Like I always call them, they do all the grunt work, right? But the thing is, like, I'm using them too. Like those aspects, like that might be like I live and breathe Pinterest, but I'm going to use AI to take those shortcuts to create. And I'm also very much like you. I like writing. I'm always investing in copywriting, improving my own messaging and my own writing. But the idea of sitting down to optimize 2 blog posts and the associated pins for a very long period of time, I would rather be with my kids. I'd rather be going outside for a walk with the dogs or doing something, but I do know I will feel a nice return from it. But I do, like the idea is that those AI assistants that I've trained that are embedded in the course will help you for all the little things that do you need to work on your messaging? Yes. And, I can provide feedback and help, but like those grunt work, right? The execution. And some people come to us and they're spending hours manually writing everything when it's like you don't need to do that. Your overall experience in Pin Potential, what has it been like for you?
No, it's been it's fantastic. Honestly, if you had gone to my really close entrepreneurial friends, or even my friends, I'm just like, you need to take this course. And I am 150% not actually getting any. Yeah,
you're not an affiliate.
I'm not an affiliate. Like I'm just, I'm an enthusiastic Gemini.
Who would you recommend the course to? Who do you think the course is well suited to?
I think it's well suited to people who, like me, are just looking for a focus in terms of our marketing energy. That you are a person who has a lot to offer, who has a lot, you are an expert in your field. You might be overthinking marketing, or you might be overwhelmed by marketing, and you just want to have a thorough course that's going to help you focus and get results, and understand that it's an investment. So just talking about the money part, having bought lots of things, and a lot of people get jaded as this is more than just buying marketing. And especially coming in, even if you are a savvy entrepreneur who has already been in the world for a long time, you will see things that you haven't seen before in this course. You will rethink aspects of your business. So it is, actually, I thought it's a really good deal, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I do too. But a lot of people though, an investment is an investment, and I always encourage people to think about it. And if you are on a budget, it's something you need to think about. So knowing that it isn't just Pinterest, that there are more things to it, and it's sort of this holistic approach to any which way we are going to help you, right, get results and really feel that return on your investment. That if you show up and do the work, we will help you get there.
Understand what it's like to be hesitant and to be on a budget. I totally understand this. And I know there's always that, oh, you just need to invest. But this is actually very true. If you are particularly a newbie, I would highly recommend this course because you will get a lot of direction for your business that you would not get in other marketing courses. So on that aspect. So yes.
Well, thank you, Megan. I really, really appreciate it. Now, if people are interested to learn more about the work that you do, as a final thought, can you share where people can find you?
So Megan Core Beliefs anywhere. If you Google that into the Google box, you will find me on Instagram, Pinterest, my website.
That's some good SEO. That's some good SEO. Well, thank you, Megan. I really appreciate you sharing your own experience in the course and with the program, because I really do hope that more people can see that we really are doing something very different, not just in the Pinterest space, but in marketing in general. And I would like to think like, I have my own zhuzh, my own marketing methods that I share that really it is always been sort of a little bit of a closed book. So the people that know, I feel like sometimes people joke about it being like their secret weapon. They come in and then they're like, well, I don't want my competitors to find out about this. But for anyone who's sort of on the fence, we encourage you, ask questions, think about it for yourself.
Send me an email, DM or whatever. I will tell the truth. I'm not nothing to people. I'm not getting any money.
I so appreciate that. Well, let's leave it there. Thank you so much for joining me today, Megan. I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts.
Okay, I'll see you soon.